Big news came out of a special Lloydminster Council meeting yesterday, with City Council selecting the location of a new event arena. We sat down with Mayor Albers to discuss why the location was selected and what the next steps are in the process.
Well, after a special council meeting on Thursday, Lloydminster City Council selected the location for the city's new event arena, which will replace the Civic Center. Now, the city selected a city-owned piece of land that's directly south of the Gold Horse Casino. Joining us to talk a little bit more about the location and what went into its selection, I'm joined by Mayor Gerald Albers. Thank you for being here, Mr. Mayor. First of all, before we talk about the location, I want you to give a little bit of background about how we got to this point and why a special council meeting was needed.
Basically, the Centennial Civic Center was constructed as its name back in 1967 as a centennial project for Canada's 100th anniversary as a country. And certainly the facility has served the city very well. Over the last few years, the previous council and this council had asked city administration to give us a building inspection report to know what the condition of all city buildings were. So we dealt with a number of issues at a few buildings. And the Centennial Civic Center was identified as having some challenges that needed to be addressed that were not just cosmetic. Simply, they were structural in nature that needed to be addressed. And we've had that report for a number of years, and we recently had it updated. And what the engineer came back said that we basically have a 2 to 5 year lifespan left on that building. So rather than the 8 years we were originally working on, we lost some time. And that was very concerning as council to ensure that the building is safe to use today, but the long-term longevity of the building for the costs associated to bring it up to spec and to maintain that were just not in the best interest of the taxpayer and the community as a whole. So the government of Saskatchewan had announced the ICIP funding program stream for recreational facilities, and administration brought it forward to City Council early last fall, saying that there's an opportunity. But as the deadline, which is January 11th for applications, resulted in some information being gathered after the last meeting in December that needed to provide some information to council so that we could make an informed decision on location to put on that application form to complete it. Basically, it's considered shovel ready to the state that the government's looking for. We now have a location. We still have to finish the design work, but we've moved it much further ahead. And that's where yesterday's meeting resulted in that decision.
Now, the east location was selected by City Council to be the new site for this arena. It beat out some other options like a site near the Lloyd X and also one on the Alberta side. My question is, why did this site, which is just south of Gold Horse Casino and just east of 40th Avenue, why did that beat out some of the other options? What in your mind made it stand out?
Some of the original work being done by the city and through a consultant that was helping us, an architect and someone that's very familiar with arenas, because often we look to outside services when we come to constructing wastewater treatment plants, arenas, fire halls, because we don't build them every day. The consultant certainly looked at that site and said it had some great potential. The benefits are that it's in just south of a business development that's already in place and is continuing to grow. The location has got some good access to it, as well as some of the requirements of water and sewer, of course, and stormwater management are all part of that. It lays into the property fairly well. Each one of the other proposals looked relatively good, and cost-wise were not far off. One of the challenges that we have currently with today's Civic Center is located north of the tracks, as it's referred to. And it is challenging to access that facility when the trains are moving and we don't have control over the trains. So having an opportunity to locate it in a business area adjacent to 16 highway for great access, as well as future development in that area, certainly leaned very strongly that way. There was some other proposals looked at very thoroughly. One came to the table a little later and the other piece was the city owned the land. I think that was a very critical piece in that. And the other proposals, the city did own the land. It is a government of Saskatchewan grant application, so we lean to the province, the Saskatchewan side rather than the Alberta side. help facilitate that grant application as well. So there was multiple pieces that fit in that resulted in that. But I also want to assure the taxpayers that we have not given up evaluations, because if something comes back all of a sudden, one of the geographical and geological information pieces don't fit, then we may have to change sites. But we did need to put something on paper to move the grant application forward so that we could get in the line, because we've been through this before. The sooner we can get into the grant application process with as complete application as we can result in success on the receiving grant money.
Now, during the council meeting, City Council received a lot of information about this arena's economic impact and the economic development it could spur here in the city. Now, part of the proposal for this east site, city administration is envisioning kind of an entertainment district with more than just an arena there, slow pitch, and also developing a stormwater lake into kind of maybe trails around it, stuff like that. Can you take us through some of the economic impacts that you envision or that could come up from this new arena location?
The arena is what we're calling the event center, an event build that will happen, because what was proposed, it's not in the dollars and cents, is building 6 softball diamonds or to go with that, because it's certainly a growing sport in the summertime. And being able to utilize parking and facilities, both winter and summer, are huge. You get maximum benefit of using that facilities close to 365 days a year. So that's what was looked at. By doing that, there's certainly the question, is there an opportunity for another hotel in the very near location to that plan and layout, as well as retail, as well as food and fast food outlets that might find that spot very attractive to be based there, even though they may have people coming just simply to shop, to eat, or to be there for an event and coinciding with it. So there was certainly a lot of opportunity, and I think that we looked at from the consultants' perspectives. Administration spent a lot of time looking at arenas in the last couple of months that have been built throughout Western Canada to ensure that we build what we need and hopefully build it right the first time. So we've got some great ideas going forward. So there's a whole bunch of pieces, and this is just the beginning. I want to remind people, we've now got a proposed location. We're applying for a grant. We don't have the money in the bank to build this facility. So we need to engage the community, help them understand how we're going to pay for it, what we're looking for. We're certainly open to sponsorship and support from the community, as well as what would the community like to see. We've got the basics. What does the community want to see, and what questions do they have? And we started to answer some of those yesterday after the council meeting with the public that were in the council chamber, asking questions afterwards, just trying to get some more information, and that's going to be very important.
The town of Wainwright is celebrating a new CT scanner thanks to community donations. Our Jasmine King has more on how this $2.2 million project was possible.
I'm joined here now with Bill Lawson, and he is the chairperson of the Wainwright and District Health Foundation. Now, the Health Foundation had their new CT scanner delivered last week, and with all the funding coming from the community. But first of all, I'll get you just to go a bit into the background of how this project started.
The project began basically with a joint effort between the Rotary Club of Wainwright and the Health Foundation. We had recently completed the project, the last project we were on. We were looking for something new. And at our meeting one night, the Rotary showed up. They phoned and said, "Can we meet you there?" So they came to the meeting and come up with the idea that they were looking for something new to fund for Wainwright, and so they suggested a CT scanner. And I mean, we had thought of a CT scanner actually a couple of years prior to that, but it was just out of our scope, I guess I would say, to raise. We didn't know how much money we needed to raise, but we didn't think we could raise the money needed alone, just with the foundation. So that's basically how we got started, with the Rotary and the foundation joining forces. And then as well, Bumper to Bumper has been a huge impact on our hospital here in Wainwright. They donate a lot of proceeds towards it. So we joined up with the Bumper to Bumper and the Wainwright Rotary and the Health Foundation here in Wainwright and to start with this process. So
And with the new CT scanner, the community and everyone helped raise $2.2 million. So just how was it raising the money, and just how was it trying to do this also during a pandemic?
yeah, that was a big part of it, all right. When we started, of course, we weren't in the pandemic. So I mean, I looked at the project, and the first thing we did is form a committee of members that we could get together and make decisions and about raising the funds. And each organization basically went on their own. Like the Rotary did their own fundraising, and Bumper to Bumper did their fundraising, and as well the foundation did their own fundraising. And but definitely, it's a lot of money to raise, and I went through it. We had 2 years to raise it at that time, and I went through it, and I thought, you know what, we might end up a little bit shy. I was concerned about the 2.2 million. Uh, I looked at what the Rotary could raise and Bumper to Bumper, as well as the foundation. And so I actually approached the town of Wainwright, and I approached the MD of Wainwright, and with an agreement. We had an agreement signed, not signed, but we had an agreement with them, a verbal agreement that they would help if we ran into a shortfall, that they would supplement it. So that made me breathe a lot easier. But as it turned out, we didn't need any government funding from anybody. We raised the funds all on our own. So
Yeah, that's great to hear. And just what was your reaction to seeing when you guys finally hit that goal?
oh, it was a sense of relief. It was a sense of relief, that's for sure. But you know what? It seemed to not even stop there. I mean, we actually put a piece in the paper. We had to put a piece in the paper because everybody was wanting this in the town of Wainwright, and the local communities, surrounding communities, all wanted this. And even when we put the piece in the paper saying, you know what, we've reached our target and our goal, and people still wanted to give money towards that project, and they couldn't believe that we were already there. So no, it was fantastic support by all the surrounding communities and the town of Wainwright for sure.
And when are you hoping that the CT scanner will be fully operational and up and running?
Probably seen pictures of the machine actually arriving here December 30th in that minus 35 weather, which I did have some concerns. There's a lot of plastic in there, and I thought, well, we better get it inside as quick as we can. That was a concern we had, but no, it was a sense of relief when we got that machine here, and they just put it into storage. And the next project is getting the room done, and the bids have gone out. They're going to start this month actually renovating a space in the hospital to put this, and we're hoping to have it in operation in June or July. And they'll be doing test runs, and maybe some changes needed to be made, and fully operational by September, doing scans here.
And just how crucial is it to have it in the community?
That's one thing we looked at and we discussed it. Like right now, a lot of our seniors are going to places like Edmonton and Camrose for the CT scan, and it's a real benefit to our seniors to have it done locally. If they need a scan, they can get it done locally here and without traveling to other areas. So it's a huge benefit to the whole surrounding community, even bringing people in from other areas that are further, that will drive to Wainwright. It's a boost to our local economy here, that they may do shopping here while they're in Wainwright, or stay at a hotel, and it's just a win-win all the way around.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Bill. And it's just great to hear that this project is now completed.
Thanks for having me, Jasmine.
That's all we have for news. Sports is next, but first, here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Now onto the world of sports. The Alberta Junior Hockey League has had to postpone a number of games over the next 2 weeks. Our Jace Mackey sat down with Evan Kenny to get the inside scoop.
Some unfortunate news now for AJHL fans, specifically fans of the Lloydminster Bobcats. On Thursday night, the league came out with an announcement, and Evan Kenny's here with us to talk a little bit more about what the league had to say. So, Evan, what's the big news?
Yeah, Jace, unfortunate news, like you said, if you are a fan of the Lloydminster Bobcats. So the AJHL announced that due to COVID-related issues affecting the Lloydminster Bobcats, 5 games will be postponed, ranging from actually tonight. There was supposed to be a game where the Bobcats traveled to Whitecourt, and that will go for about 10 days from now. Now, this is the first time this season that the Bobcats have been affected by something like this. However, it's not the first time this season for the league as a whole. 7 games thus far this year have had to be postponed due to COVID-related issues. Now, the league has not planned any new dates for these postponed games, and as well, the league also said they will not be identifying individuals concerned at the moment.
Now, here in Lloydminster, the city follows the Saskatchewan Health Authority when it comes to COVID rules, and the AJHL, they're an Alberta league, and so anyways, now that we're talking about the SHA, they have a new isolation rule. So if you're fully vaccinated, you have to self-isolate for 5 days. Does this impact the Bobcats when it comes to this COVID shutdown that they're dealing with right now?
Yeah, Jace, this would impact them if they were playing in the SJHL. The Nipawin Hawks actually recently this week went into a minimum 5-day quarantine just based on if symptoms continue or not. So if they were in the SJHL, then yes, that would be the case. This was actually a question that I had earlier this morning for AJHL Commissioner Ryan Bartoshik. But because the AJHL and the Lloydminster Bobcats follow the Government of Alberta's restriction exemption program and their rules, that will not be the case, Jace.
So now looking ahead, Evan, what are the next steps for the Bobcats?
Yeah, well, obviously, Jace, first and foremost, the team is in quarantine right now. They are isolating as we speak. And like I mentioned, they will be missing a handful of games this weekend. They were supposed to be traveling to Whitecourt for a number of games. And as well, they were supposed to host Drayton Valley next Wednesday. That's the lone home game that will be missed. And then next weekend, they're supposed to go and play 2 more games in Grand Prairie. So in total, 5 games, like I mentioned, and that will end on January 15th. So for the rest of the league, continue business as usual. They'll continue operations, and they will continue the rest of the season with the restriction exemption program, Jace.
Well, Evan, thanks for taking some time. Definitely some unfortunate news for the Lloydminster Bobcats, but as of now, the next scheduled game for them is going to be January 19th when they're expected to head up to Bonnyville.
Now let's have a look at your egg prices. Now ending off with taking a quick look at your 7-day forecast. We'll be seeing some slightly warmer temperatures for the weekend that we're used to, with -25 Saturday and Sunday, seeing a little bit more sun there. Then starting off next week on Monday, we'll be seeing -20, so we will be cooling down a bit to start off the week, but we will be seeing some beautiful temperatures for the rest of next week, with Tuesday and Wednesday at -2. Thursday we'll be seeing a little bit more cloud coverage at -6 degrees, and Friday we'll be ending off at -10.